Shalom from Israel. I moved to a new place, so we continue our adventures in C language. Let's start. In our past lessons we made such simple prototype for roguelike game. So here you could move around rooms which are randomly generated through corridors and defeat goblin which reappear. So today we will refactor our code, so we will improve it, and also we will also go into spawning more monsters, not just one goblin but a lot of them, and we will add staircases, so it will be possible to generate new levels, so you would be able to go from one level to another. But first of all, yes, let's refactor it a bit. You see, we have huge function. So right now we have two functions: main function and dungeon function. And this dungeon function, see, it's very big one. What we could do already, we could kind of make it smaller. So we could add some more functions, which we will call from our main function from the dungeon. And this way it will be much easier for us to program, to operate around. So first function which we will create, it will be function to create dungeon. So this place, like dungeon generation, we will take all this stuff from dungeon generation. So this is, for example, it's corridors generation. So all this stuff, we would take it to separate function, which we would call like a dungeon again, like this. So generate dungeon, and we would make it here. So it will be int. This function will return integer dungeon again, and body of this function will be I just copy it like this, spam. Okay, we have now this dungeon again function, and we want to put here all these parameters. Let's just give it to this function for now. Later on we could reduce them, yes, not like this, but here we would put it here. By the way, there is a very useful thing. So you could hide functions with this plus and minus to hide it. Press minus with mouse and plus to show it. This way it's much easier to operate. Later on we would put it to separate like files. I showed in my past videos, past tutorials, how to make models within C language, but for now let's just move it to the separate function. And what we should give to this function, so we will just take stuff which we put to dungeon, and we will give it to dungeon again, but without this -1, like this. So let's test our program. You see, it works. It works, so nothing changed. We just give it to this function. But you see that we give parameter which is unused for now. So when we generate dungeon, we do not need to pass to the function action which player input. So we do not need input. Let's start again. Let's check. Yeah, we do not have any warnings now. It's first thing. Now let's make some more functions. So we have here we have place which draw tiles. We could also put it to separate functions. So we have dungeon generation, and we would have dungeon drawing. But yeah, by the way, let's call, so it will be less confusing, let's call it not dungeon. Our main function will be not dungeon, but it will be like game loop. We'd call this game loop, this function. So let's make it here to game loop, because it's kind of how it is. We have our entry to the program, it's main function, and here we have game loop, like main loop for the program, which repeats constantly. Okay, also we test our program as always. It's always important to test everything right on, so we wouldn't forget anything. Now let's make function for drawing stuff. See, here we have draw. We could also make like separate, call this dungeon draw, place where we draw stuff. First we can, then we draw. And it will be int dungeon draw. So let's make it. I just copy it here. And again, we will like pass the same stuff to this function. Don't be afraid to pass stuff between functions, because it wouldn't make your program slower or something. So it's always a good thing to make everything more readable. Okay, and this function we also could now hide. By the way, as these functions they return integer, we should return 0 at the end, like to say that okay, it was all right, this function worked properly, because later on we will return some parameters, like for example player's controls. When we would move it, we would also return it like this. Nice. Now we have control, we have placement of player and placement of our goblin. We have kind of battle, and here we draw players again, and we draw some gold, so it's kind of UI. Now I think we could start with adding here possibility to have more monsters. Let's add more monsters first, I think. So we would add more monsters around, and later on we will add staircases. Let's start with the monsters. So the thing is that we have here condition that if no monsters placed yet, we generate several of them. So what we should do, we should just add it here. We should add a loop for generating more, so we will generate not one but several monsters. And actually we could we could make this loop here even. Yeah, so we could say like while, and make t placed not boolean but integer. Yes. So while t placed less than, let's say 10, yeah, generate us please these dudes, make them, and here we do not need such coordinates. We had separate coordinates for these goblins. What we will do, we will create a structure. So finally we would use structures. To create structure, we use special keyword like struct, and then we say how the structure will be called. You see, it will be a global structure, so it will be monsters structure monsters, and inside of this structure we will have integer y, integer x, and we would have also, let's make hit points, like hit points for each goblin, so we will be able to fight with them. So here what we did, we defined this structure. So we not defined, but we declared the structure, and then we could make an array immediately. So we would say that the structure monsters, so this is kind of type. The struct monsters, it's our type, so it's not a variable. This is a type which includes init several variables already. So let's use type and let's create monster. Let's create array, and we would have like 10 elements there. So we would have 10 monsters. Yeah. So now t-placed. Yeah, it's all right. So let's make it just ++, maybe will be easier. And it will start from 0. It will start from 0, and then it will be like it will be 10. So it should be like less than equal 10. So let's think. Start from 0. We made one. So if we will have, for example, 9 here, we'll also go. No, we do not need to make it equal, because we would have here like when it will be 9, then we will generate one more monsters, and then it will become 10. And as our monsters, we have 10 elements in our array, 10 elements from 0 till 9. So yeah, it should be like this. But yes, of course, we need to fill our array properly. So we would make it like this. Let's do it. Let's call it like integer yx we will have. Then we generate certain number, certain coordinate for each goblin, while they should be placed somewhere. And then, yeah, by the way, yeah, anyway, we need a fourth cycle. Of course, we need fourth cycle. Shouldn't be like this, it should be different. So let's make it 4 then. Yeah, but if we would make it 4, yeah, let's revert a bit. Yeah, I think it should be, yeah, let's do it more simpler way. So it will be, because we would need fourth cycle here, that's why we would use if here. t-placed equal 1. Oh yeah, plus plus, it's the same. No, it's better equal 1, yeah. Okay, it's actually it's the same thing, but it will be more readable, more understandable. So we kind of we want to make our code readable. That's why it's kind of we're setting the flag, and let's make it back to the boolean. Why? Because to fill array, to fill our structure, the structure array with the structure elements, we need for loop. So that's why we will do it like this. Okay, first of all, we say for like monster, it will be int. Let's make int monster equal to 0, while it's less than 10, m++. Then what we do, we generate with this while, yeah, it's do while, let's copy it properly. We generate coordinate, proper one, and after we generate this coordinate, we should assign it to array. So to get into array monster, which we have here, we should use dot, like monster dot y equal y. You see, we could use this y here because it's separate variable, because structures, they are very special kind of. Then now monster x, not like this. Yeah, we should kind of course we should take it from array element, so it will be m here. X will be x, and hit points, we need hit points too. So each newborn goblin will have 3 hit points. Let's make it 3. Okay. Or even that will be 2, okay. So it will be easier to fight with them. Okay. So it's our cycle. Here we have int xy and it will be generated. Let's test. Oh yes, as I do not use ty anymore, I need to remove it from here. Here we will, our battle will be a bit different. I'll tell about it a bit later, so let's for now comment it, and I need to test this stuff. And also we will draw goblins. You see, we wouldn't draw goblins here anymore. We would draw goblins in our dungeon draw. So our dungeon draw, we will get into it only after we placed all the stuff. So after we placed all the stuff, we would go for dungeon draw. Yeah, let's take a look. Okay, we do not have any goblins. I'll fix it. Why? Because we need to add them to dungeon draw function. So here we should say else if this coordinate contain goblin, then we should draw it. But yeah, you see, as we have here, we filled our array with coordinates, but we also need to fill the map with the coordinates. So we could do like this, map, and we take this coordinate and map this coordinate. Here it will be a goblin. So let's test it. Okay, you see, we draw our goblins. We have 10 goblins on the map. So let's count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So right. But you see, now we can't pass them for now. So now we need to implement a battle system. But you see, yeah, it's kind of our first time when we use these structures, which are very useful because you could combine variables of different types. So you could use character type, integer type, so different types, which is very handy. Let's now make our fighting system. So we will put it back a bit. It will be a bit more complicated than before because we kind of need to rework all drawing of the dungeon. So let's hide for now t-placed, also with this thing, it's useful thing. And it's how we place our player. I think we would do differently. So thing is that we actually need coordinates of our player accessible all the time. That's why we would use coordinates of our player will be py and px. Yeah, let's rework some stuff too. I forgot I should do it at the beginning, but yeah, it's when I just remembered about it. So for player we will use py px coordinates. So here it will be the same. And it will give us possibility to use very simple thing actually. Py px. So you see, I replaced this xy for player to pay y, player y and player x. Why? Because now what we could do, we could check map, we could add a player coordinate here, there. So if player py, px equal to, if this element in this coordinate, if it's equal to goblin, then we will fight with it. Okay, I stood 197. Let's take a look. Yeah, here we also should replace it to py, px. It's our movement. Like this. Okay. So now, yeah, I still can't fight for now, because you see it's not equal to empty place. So we should say it like this. If it's not equal to wall, for example, then we will be able to move. Yeah, you see? The thing is that we kind of multiply goblins every time when we move. It's quite funny. You see, it looks pretty fun, by the way. Yeah, I like it. Let's generate some more goblins. Okay, yeah, it's because we, in our battle in previous time, when we fight with the goblin, we generate another one. So here we do not need to do it. We need only generate gold. So now, you see, we could pass goblins, and when we pass it, every time we generate gold. So the thing is, what we want to do, we want to make fighting system. So when you move toward the goblin, you make a blow. And when you made several blows, like 3 blows, you defeat goblin and it will drop some gold to you, which is fun. But first of all, I want to remake our coordinates a bit. You see, as we renamed our player coordinate to py, px, what we could do, we could make a huge optimization. You see, we have this y, xx, which is very not really good readable. So what we should do, we could replace it by single yx, like this. You see 44 found, and x6 will be replaced with x, like this. And if we start our program, yeah, it works. It's what we need. So now everything much more readable here, you see. Now we need to remake our movement. Actually, it's first thing which we should work, because if we want to make a battle system, we want to check if this place contains a goblin or not. So if it's contain a goblin, we should fight it. If we defeat this goblin, we should be able to move at this spot. So for this fun stuff, we need either make very huge functions here, like a very big, a lot of checks with if else. You could do it, actually it's possible, but it will be kind of quite awful looking. So we will use another way. We would add a temporary variable for controls. And actually, yeah, we even will move controls somewhere here. You see, right now we have our control in do while. But I think, yeah, let's move it a bit later. For now, let's just simplify it like this. So we would say if a player control not equal to 0, so if player made certain movement, yes, then we create two variables, dir y and which will be equal to 0, and dir x, which will be also equal to 0 for now. Yeah, it wouldn't equal to 0. Let's make it like, yeah, yeah. For now, let's will be equal to 0. It's all right. So here, by the way, this input, let's make it also equal to 0 at first. So not to empty character, but to 0. So it will be easier to make this check. Okay, so now we have check. If user pressed to go up, then our direction. So we wouldn't use, for now we wouldn't use changing in database. We will do it a bit later. For now, what we will do, we will change these directions. Yeah, at the beginning it will be equal to py and px. Yes, yes. And then if user pressed k up, it will be dir y will be equal to py minus minus. Yeah. Then let's move it a bit down for now. Now, else if dir y will be equal to py plus plus. So we make this temporary coordinates, which we will use to calculate direction of player action. It's what we should do right now. Then this one will be dir x. It's very important not to make some typos, which I'm very famous for doing them. And now dir x px plus plus. Okay, we did it. So what we will do now, we will be able to add a function which we would call battle. And to this function, we actually will send, first we will make a check, like if this coordinate dir y and dir x not equal to the wall, okay, let's call it like, if it's equal to empty space, then we simply can make coordinate of a player equal to them. So we perform movement. Px dir x, like this. But if we have here, for example, a monster, then we should perform a battle. Yeah. We should perform a battle, and in battle function, we will kind of check is this monster has enough hit points or not, and we will check some other stuff. And of course, for this battle function, we need to send. Actually, I think we need to send roles, calls, and map to. Yeah, like this. So let's make this battle function. battle. And in the battle, what we will have, we would need to send not only this row set calls, we also need to send place where battle will be. So dir y and dir x. Int dir y, int dir x. Almost. Okay, we did it. Now here we want to move through all monsters, because we need to find particular monster. We have structure, we have 10 different monsters, they have different coordinates, each of them. So we need to find particular monster with which we will fight. To do so, we will go through another loop, as always. So where it was here. So we could just take this loop. Not sure, do I need here integer, new variable or not? But we will just make some ifs. So what we will do, we will check if this particular monster got the same coordinate or not. Dir y and equal to dir x. Okay, so we use this. So if we will found this monster, then we should check his hit points. So we ask if monster hit points kinda less than 1. Less than 1, it means 0. Then I would say like, okay, equal to 0, it will be more readable. If monster hit point equal to 0, then we just kinda remove this monster. So we make a coordinate, this coordinate will be equal to empty space. Yeah. Actually, it will be not equal space, but even gold. But for now, let's make it equal space. But else, if this monster has more hit points, yeah, actually, it's better to say like this: less or equal to 0, like more fail-safe. Because integer by default it could be negative value, just in case. Or else we will make some blows. So we will simply make it -1. Let's start our program and look at our errors. As always, I forgot some. It's 31. I forgot some semicolons. Okay. The problem is that now my player do not move. Let's think why it's so. Actually, I do not need here these integers. Okay, of course, I forgot to add coordinates for our character. So we need to add these coordinates here when we just generate our character, as we draw by coordinates right now. So what we will do, we would say that in this place we have our character. So now let's start it. Okay, it's become better a bit. And now we also need in our drawing, when we draw our character, we need, when we move it from one place to another, we need to change his coordinates. So this coordinate will be our character, while previous coordinate, this one, py, px, will become empty, like this. Yes, as always, semicolon. Okay, now we made snake game, which looks quite fun, you see. By the way, I'm planning to make video about snake game. So, what's the problem here? The problem here that we first change the stuff and then we kind of assign it. Also, we need not to use this operator because it will change everything immediately. It will change kind of coordinate, initial coordinate. So we should use like this +1, -1, +1. And of course, we need use draw. We should change draw, dungeon draw function to add the case for to add the case for character, and also we would change. Let's test like this first. But I think we would draw. No, it's all right. You see, it works. It works. The only problem is that fighting doesn't work for now. But at least, okay, now it works for this one. But why it didn't work for this one? I think it's because no, now it works. Very strange. So I need to test it a bit. Let's take a look again. Let's take a look. Yeah, you see it doesn't work now when I bump into the monster. So first monster which I bump into, it doesn't work for him. But right after this monster, everything works. Very strange. So let's take a look. Yeah, by the way, I forgot. Let's move our gold earning. Let's move our gold earning, and also we do not need to draw our character manually again. Let's move it to the battle. So in the battle, if we would kill monster, we would get some gold. Later on we will make kind of system when it drops some gold. Yeah, but first, most important thing is let's find this problem when we can't defeat monster. First monster. So our first monster invulnerable for some time. Let's find this bug. Okay, yeah, it's quite stupid bug. So I need to put this condition into our proper place. So when we find monster at certain cell, at certain tile, we should either fight it or kind of kill it, defeat it. Now let's test. Yes, now it works. So you see we made quite nice progress. Now we could fight with the monsters. So in our next video we will add possibility to generate new levels. We will add staircases, and also we would improve our UI a bit. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe at my channel. Very much, I'm very grateful for you that you watch my videos. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Write your comments. Bye bye.